She moved in first. Your body registered it before your thoughts could catch up. That wasn't random. That was communication without asking permission. There's something most men are never taught to recognize. When a woman initiates a hug, she isn't simply being polite. Humans don't offer it casually. We offer it when something inside us wants to be felt, steadied, or acknowledged. From a psychological perspective, initiating a hug reverses the proximity dynamic. She chooses to step into your physical space, which means that in that moment, your presence feels safe to her nervous system. Safety always comes first. That's why these hugs often feel unexpected, warm, or last slightly longer than you anticipate. Here's what many men misunderstand. A hug she initiates is rarely about you alone. It's about how she experiences herself around you. When she hugs you first, she's using your presence to regulate emotion, stress, excitement, longing, comfort. But not all first hugs mean the same thing. If you don't learn how to read them, you'll either project meaning that isn't there, or overlook meaning that is. Her chest stays connected just a moment longer than necessary. In my clinical work, I see this pattern constantly. Women are often conditioned to manage feelings, rather than announce them. Do I feel closer afterward? Her nervous system is collecting information. And when the hug feels right, it strengthens the bond quietly, without forcing clarity. Pay attention to this. A woman initiating a hug does not automatically equal romantic intent, but it always reflects emotional intention. At most, she's testing intimacy without crossing a boundary she isn't ready to define. Your responsibility isn't to interpret the hug through ego or urgency. A calm, confident return hug communicates something powerful. It tells her you can handle closeness without clinging and warmth without confusion. When you understand this, you stop guessing. You start observing. There's a deeper layer most men never consider, and this is where psychology becomes uncomfortable. When a woman hugs you first, she's often revealing her attachment style, not just her feelings toward you. If she leans in quickly, holds tightly, or lingers longer than the context calls for, she may be seeking reassurance more than expressing desire. An emotional trust is fertile ground for attraction, but it is not attraction itself. When they do, it's intentional. Their hug feels grounded, relaxed, When this is the case, her hug is often an invitation to shared closeness, rather than emotional caretaking. This is where many men misstep. They react instead of reflect. They freeze, overcompensate, or mentally accelerate the relationship. All three break the psychological alignment. Watch what happens after. Does she step away smoothly and smile? Does she hesitate? Does she re-enter conversation easily? Or does she seem subtly affected? These micro-responses tell you more than the hug itself. Attraction often shows itself after contact, not during Italiano. It moved her closer emotionally. Timing matters too. A hug initiated early often tests emotional chemistry. A hug initiated later deepens established intimacy. Here's a difficult truth. If a woman hugs you first, but then avoids eye contact, shifts topics quickly, or creates distance, the hug was about her internal state, not about building something with you. Emotional intelligence is attractive because it doesn't demand explanations, and paradoxically, that's when they feel safest leaning in again. A hug initiated by her is not a promise, it's a window. What separates men, women feel drawn to from men, they eventually emotionally outgrow, ist, how they initiate, touch it, s, how they hold space for it. When she hugs you first, she's watching what happens inside you, as much as what happens between you. Your body speaks faster than your words. Tense shoulders, shallow breathing, stiffness, gripping too tightly, all of it is read instantly by her nervous system. Women are wired to detect subtle changes in safety and intention. If your body communicates neediness or restrained control, the connection weakens. If your body stays relaxed, open, and responsive, the bond deepens effortlessly. Most men don't realize this. A woman often initiates a hug not to feel close, but to see how you handle closeness. Can you stay present without taking more than she offered? Can you meet warmth without turning it into pressure? That moment answers whether emotional intimacy with you would feel nourishing or draining. This is where masculine presence matters. Not dominance, not performance, presence. When you return a hug with grounded competence, neither rushing nor retreating, you send a message that lands deep in her subconscious. You can relax here. That message is rare, and rarity creates attraction. Notice how long she stays, whether she softens, whether her breath slows, whether her hands adjust instead of pulling away. These are signs her system is settling, not escaping. That settling is emotional alignment. It means something inside her feels right enough to remain. Men who panic often break this moment by talking too quickly, joking excessively, or pulling away abruptly to regain control. Silence after a hug isn't awkward if you can hold it. In fact, silence is often where attraction consolidates. The nervous system needs a moment to integrate closeness. When you rush to fill that space, you interrupt the process. Relaxed eye contact, calm posture, and an unhurried return to conversation communicate maturity, and maturity creates desire that lasts beyond novelty. There's another layer here: self-respect. A man who understands his own boundaries doesn't cling to touch as validation. If she initiates once and doesn't repeat it, you don't chase the feeling or change yourself to recreate it. That steadiness is felt immediately. It tells her you appreciated the moment without depending on it. That balance is psychologically compelling. Women aren't drawn to men who analyze every gesture aloud. They're drawn to men who understand without advertising the understanding. When you stop announcing meaning and start embodying confidence, the dynamic shifts. She feels free to initiate again because the moment stayed clean, unforced, and emotionally safe. A woman hugging you first is a doorway. How you stand in that doorway determines whether she steps closer next time or quietly closes it. Here's the truth: most men never hear. A woman initiates a hug when something inside her wants confirmation, not reassurance, not attention. Confirmation that her instincts about you are accurate. Confirmation that you're emotionally coherent rather than reactive. Confirmation that closeness with you would feel steady, not confusing. That's why these moments linger in your mind afterward. Not because of the hug itself, but because your intuition knows it mattered. Intimacy reveals truth faster than words ever could. In that brief exchange, both nervous systems negotiated something real. If you responded with calm strength, you didn't just experience a moment, you passed a test most men never realize is happening. You showed her you don't rush to claim and you don't retreat from warmth. That balance creates emotional gravity. It makes her think of you later, often without knowing why. If you didn't respond that way, don't judge yourself. Awareness creates power. Most men are never taught that attraction is less about action and more about regulation. When you regulate yourself, others feel safe regulating around you. That safety becomes desire when paired with presence and restraint. Understand this as well. When a woman hugs you first, she isn't asking you to do something next. She's observing who you already are. Do you stay consistent afterward? Or do you subtly shift more eager, more distant, more performative? Consistency after closeness is one of the clearest markers of emotional maturity. You don't need to recreate the hug. You don't need to mention it. You don't need to interpret it out loud. Let the moment breathe. Emotional depth grows in space, not pressure. If she felt safe initiating once, she'd feel even safer doing it again when nothing was demanded in return. Over time, women don't remember exact words. They remember how regulated they felt around a man, whether closeness felt clean or complicated. A first hug initiated by her is often the beginning of that memory forming. So when it happens again, don't freeze it in your head. Let it move through you. Stay present. Stay steady. Trust that real attraction doesn't need announcements. It reveals itself quietly in moments like these. And now I'll ask you something personal. When a woman hugged you first in the past, did you feel calmer? Did you feel the urge to act immediately? That answer reveals more about your patterns than you might expect. If this changed how you see these moments, like the video, subscribe for deeper psychological insights most people never explain. And share this with someone who keeps missing the signs, not because he can't see them, but because no one ever taught him how to read them.